Peter Kahn here with the Fight Guys, and we are coming to you from Arlington, Texas. I'm not in Arlington, Texas, but pretty big fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia is at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, pretty much Errol Spence's hometown right outside of Dallas, Texas. And it's been quite a while since we've seen Errol Spence in action since his accident, that horrific accident that he's basically lucky to have walked away from October of 2019, just about 12 days, I believe, after his split decision win against Sean Porter. And finally, he's back. He had an accident. We've had a pandemic. And let me tell you something. Errol Spence is not taking a tune-up fight. He's coming right back in with former two-division world champion Danny Garcia. Garcia's only losses are a split decision loss, I believe, to Thurman, and a unanimous decision, very close loss to Sean Porter. So, this is a big challenge, I believe, for Errol Spence coming back. Now, these odds that we're going to talk about today with the sports betting odds are brought to you by BetOnline. You can visit betonline.ag and get all of the picks and the props for these fights. In fact, what I like about what BetOnline is doing right now is they actually have props. It's not just the side and total. They actually have the prop bets as well. So there's a lot of different options. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down 4 best bets that I think provide value, where I feel that the odds makers have provided value. And that's the one thing I always emphasize. It's not just about picking winners and losers, right? And it's not always about who you think is going to win. It's about what you're willing to risk based on line value. And in this case, there's certainly line value in a couple of these bets. Now, with Errol Spence Jr. being a minus 400 favorite, meaning you bet $400 to win 100, to Danny Garcia's plus 320 right now, I believe, where he was plus 360 and Errol Spence Jr. was plus 450. So some money's coming in on Danny Garcia, and the odds makers are adjusting those lines. But that's not where the value is. And so I'm going to walk you through some of my best bets, in fact 4 of them, where I believe sports bettors can make money on this fight. So first, let's look at the following. Errol Spence Jr. to win by decision or technical decision. And that's right now on BetOnline minus 135. Much better value. And here's something else I should point out. The over in the fight is 10.5 rounds. And right now I believe it sits at minus 280 that the fight will go over 10.5 rounds, which means you bet $280 to win $100. It's my thought process that this fight's going the distance, that this is going to be a decision win for Errol Spence Jr. So let's put that out there. Now the whole idea is, where can I capitalize and make some money on some of these bets? So I have Errol Spence Jr. to win. This is the method of victory, to win by decision or technical decision at minus 135. So look, it's much better value at minus 135 than minus 400 to just pick him to win. I'm picking that he's going to win by decision. Now, by him winning by decision, that automatically has us assuming that this fight's going the distance, which would put it the over, but that's not where I'm going to place my bet right now. The first best bet is going to be Errol Spence to win by decision or technical decision at minus 135. And the reason I believe this is I think that with everything that Spence has been through, he is going to come out, he's going to use his size, his length, he's going to use that jab, his southpaw stance to his advantage. I feel like he's going to be cautious, but I think it's going to be a measured cautious. I think he's going to look to control the distance. I think he's going to look to make Garcia pay for taking chances. We know that Danny Garcia is very, very game, but I just feel like we're not going to see an overly aggressive Errol Spence Jr. I'd be surprised, to be honest with you. I think that even he himself, with this much time out of the ring, is going to feel like he needs to kind of see how he feels, not only after the time off, but with the accident and just him getting some rounds under his belt, seeing what that feels like, getting back at this championship level where he fights. You know, he's still undefeated. He hasn't really had anyone push him or be, well, I take that back. The Sean Porter fight was a very good fight. You got to give Sean Porter credit. If it wasn't for that knockdown in the 11th round, you know, that fight could have been a whole different story. So with that being said, I'm picking Errol Spence Jr. method of victory, which would be a decision or technical decision at minus 135, which you can get at Bet Online. So here is the other bet we just talked about. So my second best bet, you know, we're basically doubling down on the idea that I'm already picking the fight to be a decision victory for Spence. So it only makes sense that we're going to take the minus 280, bet 280 to win 100, that the fight's going to go over 10.5 rounds. And look, the minus 135 and the minus 280 is still better value than just picking Spence to win at minus 400. If we do get the method of victory and we do get, you know, obviously that means it's going over 10.5 rounds, then obviously we're winning both of those bets. And nothing against Danny Garcia. I just feel that right now I feel like Errol Spence is prepared and ready and is going to come out, look, like the old Errol Spence Jr., you know, regardless of everything he's been through. I think that, you know, we're going to still see him perform the way that we would expect him to perform. Now, look, Garcia's been out for almost a year as well. Basically, I think 1 week shy, or maybe a couple of weeks shy of a year off as well. And so here's my other bet. And you might look at me and be like, I'm crazy. I just picked Spence to win by decision or technical decision at minus 135, and I picked the over 10.5 rounds, which means it has to go to the midway point of the 11th round at minus 280. I'm going to tell you, one of my other best bets is a draw. And the reason I'm saying that is because the value at plus 2,000, bet $100 to win $2,000 is extremely strong value. And look, yes, I do believe Spence is going to win. But what if there are close rounds? What if Spence isn't the same? What if he is more tentative? What if Danny Garcia has his foot on the gas pedal? And what if this is, you know, a very close fight? It is not inconceivable, statistically and from a probability standpoint, that this could be a draw. And it's just too much value to wager $100 to possibly win $2,000. And remember, in order for it to be a draw, we would still win the over 10.5 rounds because it would have to go the distance to be a draw. So, you know, in that case, we still would be winning. I mean, we're coming out way ahead at plus 2,000. I do believe that there could be some close rounds, whether it's from, you know, excellent action or inaction, where it's really hard to determine who got the best of a round. Judges look at different things. You never know what they're looking at, what criteria they give preference to over another criteria. So that third best bet is plus 2,000 for the draw. And look, here's a hedge. And, you know, I have for my final best bet, we have Danny Garcia to win by decision or technical decision, plus 500. Basically, you bet $100 to win 500. And it really comes down to, what if Danny Garcia comes out, is, you know, overperforming, and what if Errol Spence Jr. isn't the same, right? We're still getting the over, right, because we're picking it to win the method of victory by decision, and we're still getting Garcia. And because of the plus 500 value, it makes up for the other two bets, which would be the Spence by decision at minus 135 and the draw. We're still coming out ahead with a net profit. The only way that we lose on this fight is if there's a victory by knockout by either fighter. That would basically put us in a complete losing position. But look, go to Bet Online. Go to betonline.ag. They have great value. They have a lot of great bets, a lot of great options. Like I said, it's not just the side and the rounds on this fight. There, you can bet round by round betting, which round you think this fight's going to end in. If you think it's going to end by TKO, KO, who's going to win? You know, these are just my best bets. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the Fight Guys. Check out the other videos. And once again, thank you for watching.